Some of you may remember a popular movie from a few years ago entitled The Passion of Christ. The movie was scripted from the gospel narrative we just heard. And for most Christians, and even non-Christians, there were probably no surprises when it came to the content and the theme of the story. The film created a lot of comment and discussion. Some people were positively impressed by the movie, but others thought it too violent and too gruesome. To the latter, I remember responding, if you thought the movie was violent, imagine the reality of Jesus' suffering and death. It certainly was cruel and violent. We all know that Jesus' story doesn't end on Calvary. We know there is another chapter to come. And the chapter to come has a curious twist. In most Easter Gospels, no one sees Jesus. His friends just find an empty tomb. And in John's Gospel, when they do encounter him, they recognize him only when they see his wounds. And throughout the centuries, Christian art has continually pictured the risen Jesus with wounds and scars. It is important for us to understand the significance of Jesus' scars. It is important because those scars are a sign of the continuing love God has for each of us throughout our lives, even when we think He has abandoned us. Perhaps today we might consider the value of our own wounds and scars. And yes, we all have them. No one passes through life without suffering some sort of loss, some sort of failure, disappointment, or discouragement. And while these things are happening to us, they may seem mind-numbing and insurmountable, but they are not. You see, life's challenges help shape us and help define who we really are. If we keep our focus on Christ's sacrifice and suffering while experiencing our own trials and tribulations, we can be shaped in the image of Jesus. In addition, our own scars help us to deal with those we come in contact with every day. By our own experiences, we learn to empathize with the sorrow and grief of others. We learn to understand and to respond to the needs of others because we know how it feels to be heartbroken, to be lonely, to be discouraged, to suffer loss. Let me give you one simple example. How many of us have learned the value of a hug, if not from the embraces offered to us when we needed it most? What we observe on Good Friday is the saddest event in human history. But to us believers, it is a day of triumph, a day of hope for all mankind. Our liturgy today mixes defeat and victory. It mixes sorrow and joy. This is the second day of our celebration of the Passover of Jesus to his Father. It is not a funeral. It is an affirmation that by his dying, Jesus has defeated death and has acquired for us the hope of eternal life.